All right, I've been looking forward to this episode. I think this is episode 7. Now I want to go over a Q&A conference, a Capcom panel that took place at EVO after the Nikali trailer. And this is where Capcom goes over a lot of the promises and plans they made with Street Fighter V, and it's great. There's some things that didn't follow through, some things that did, and it's really interesting to know because remember, this game came out 7 years ago, and it's hilarious when we get to things like netcode and stuff, so I'm going to give my own commentary on it, but this will be good. It's a big panel with a lot of plans, and hopefully you get something like this for Street Fighter 6 in the future. Did you guys notice that all four of these guys sitting at this table don't exist anymore?
Yeah, I'm the product manager on Street Fighter 5. Nice to meet you.
It's perfect. Why does Ono? Guys, this is Ono trying to figure out what to do with the finances for Street Fighter 5.
So I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about our partnership we have in place with Sony. Sony have been absolutely fabulous partners, and they really share the same vision for the growth potential in the fighting game space.
Translation, they gave us money, so we're able to release this game in a timely fashion. In hindsight, one of the biggest things besides making the game exist, Sony put in a huge chunk of cash for the CPT finals. Because you guys remember, the very first CPT was $500,000. Probably the biggest pot in fighting game history, right? So everyone was on board to play Street Fighter V. Here it comes.
For online play this time around, this is a key focus of ours. We're running off of our Kagemusha netcode. It's proprietary to Capcom. It's a rollback netcode. We expect it to be very, very good, but online is a very key focal point for the product. And as I mentioned before, it's also going to be on cross-platform play.
It was great that Capcom was one of the first Japanese developers to attempt rollback-based netcode. We know it greatly backfired. The matches didn't sync well. The matchmaking didn't work well. It made other developers scared to use rollback netcode. We don't know if it had anything to do with the crossplay. It's been plaguing this game to this day for 7 years. Capcom also had the license for GGPO back then. It was also free, and Capcom decided to make their own proprietary netcode, Kagemusha. The funny thing is, Kagemusha's netcode does work for other games. They used it for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We'll see if they still continue to use it for Street Fighter 6. If I was Capcom, though, I would probably low-key not call it Kagemusha because we don't want people to be scared. I have no doubt in my mind that Capcom is going to continue to do proprietary rollback-based netcode in the future and call it something else. Hopefully not run into the same problems.
So in terms of our standings, players who have qualified thus far, we've got Mago, we've got Daigo, Infiltration, Kazunoko, Takedo.
So this point structure changed a couple of times. We had like gatekeeping, where players were winning so many tournaments and getting so many points. And it was kind of unfair to some other players because some players would have access to more tournaments. And if you had a lot of money and you were good to fly down to many, many tournaments, you can just farm points like crazy. So later, Capcom changed this point system to be so majors were more worth it. The lower tournaments weren't as big. You couldn't just farm. You couldn't just like snipe tournaments where you know really good players won't be and farm on scrubs basically and get a lot of points because that's an issue that happened.
Street Fighter V is a game that really learns from all the previous iterations, and that's both in terms of gameplay and both in terms of how we deliver content to our fans. This time around, we're proud to announce we're going to be treating Street Fighter like a service. And our ambition here is to create a constantly evolving Street Fighter world that's going to deliver lots of fun to all different player types.
So we know to this day that this was a cover-up. Capcom knew that this game was going to be Skeletor Spinal Bare Bones when it came out. So they used the option select of constantly evolving and still be able to charge full AAA price for it at launch. It was an excellent business strategy.
So to break this down, I'd like to point out 3 key changes in our content strategy, which are going to be absolutely huge. The first, the initial release is going to be the only disc you ever need to own. You're never going to be forced to buy an upgrade patch.
That is very exciting. And they definitely follow through with that. You can have the original Street Fighter V disc, and it'll automatically update all the way up to Champion Edition to what it is now. People still get confused by this. Everyone, for some reason, thought that Capcom said that they're not going to release any expansions for some reason, but that's not what they said. I still see people in the YouTube comments get confused by that to this day. Basically, the result of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where they suffer from a huge DLC blunder in the industry. All eyeballs were on Capcom, and after the Cross Tekken incident, I think Capcom's never gonna do the new disc DLC thing ever again.
Most importantly, all post-launch gameplay related content will be earnable by playing the game.
This was also very interesting. I still think Street Fighter V has some of the fairest DLC practices in fighting games to this day, but we know the fight money system definitely got nerfed really huge when people were earning a little too many things for free, but at least you still had the option.
So we're going to be starting off with a core roster of 16 characters. Out of that, 4 new characters are going to be brand new to the series, so stay tuned for those. And then after that point, we're going to be continuously adding new characters post-launch. And I'd like to reiterate that all of those characters are going to be earnable for free by playing the game.
The crowd didn't seem to boo or seem to be too sad about the 16 character core roster. I mean, we still have fighting games right now with 16 characters or less on launch, and some games are still coming out now that are going to have less than 16 characters. But I think the majority of us for Street Fighter 6, especially now that we know that, the game won't be rushed, are going to expect more than 16 characters. I think 4 brand new characters is fine. I'm not a fan of too many brand new characters in general, but if they're going to do brand new characters, most of them should come at launch, because I feel like DLC and getting people to come back to the game, or wanting to come to the game they wouldn't want to come before, is when you're going to bring really fan favorite characters. And I don't think brand new characters bring people into Street Fighter. I think it's only going to be returning characters that have the power to do that. Or, guest characters or whatever.
So to break down how this really works, I'd like to take a step back.
Damn, they actually showed this?
Street Fighter 4. So previously, we required you to purchase bundles of content all at once. And while that did revive interest in Street Fighter 4 every few years, it was really difficult to keep players engaged for a long period of time, because sometimes you needed to wait 1 or 2 years to be able to get an update. Additionally, this also punished players who took a break from playing the game. If you came back later, you would have been forced to purchase an upgrade to get the latest balance patches. And it also forced players to purchase all of the content, even if it didn't appeal to them. So this time around, our new model is going to be much more in the player's interest.
Man, that's crazy. Just think about what it was like before.
So to execute this, we are building an in-game currency. There are going to be 2 different types of in-game currency. The first is your fight money. Everybody loves their fight money. Fight money can only be obtained by playing the game, and that's what you use to be able to earn your content for free. If you want to speed that process up and access new content immediately, you are able to purchase Zenny with real money and speed that process up. In terms of how long it's going to take in order to earn a new character, we're still working that out. Part of the reason why we're doing these beta campaigns is to figure out the amount of time it takes players to earn fight money, but we'll be balancing that before the game is released.
So you guys are probably looking at this Zenny, and you probably have no idea what it is. So Zenny never really saw the light of day. Basically, Zenny was how you made transactions in the game using real money. But what happened was, it was so easy to bypass and hack Capcom servers that a bunch of people were able to hack and manipulate their Zenny currency in-game already, like in the beta version and in the launch. And therefore, Capcom was put at huge financial risk of everyone getting everything for free. And they removed the Zenny money system forever. This also caused a big controversy, because if you pre-ordered one of the Japanese collector editions, the game came with like 10,000 or something Zenny in it, and that Zenny you were unable to use that Zenny because there was no Zenny money system. Tough for new players, self-explanatory, community growth. If the game is too hard and require people to sit in training mode 8 hours a day, people are going to drop the game. That's something we deal with fighting games all the time. The Street Fighter V being straightforward, so I don't know how I feel about this one, because Combo Fiend's talking about he wants the game to feel deliberate. There's consequences to everything you press and all that, and that's true. It's good that you can't just throw out random moves all the time and always be plus and not have to worry about and jumping around the screen and all that. But they kind of went a little extreme with Street Fighter V, to the point where Street Fighter V is known as one of the most frame data heavy Street Fighter games. Basically, if you don't know the frame data, it feels like you can just never know when it's actually your turn. When this game first came out, there was Counter Hit City. It kind of changed the flow of Street Fighter V. They wanted to make it more grounded. We'll have to see what they do with Street Fighter 6. And yeah, talking about the heart of Street Fighter, I mean, I think that's pretty well said. I mean, it wasn't until Street Fighter 4 where people were so obsessed with one frame links. A lot of people didn't start Street Fighter competitively until Street Fighter 4, so it kind of brainwashed everyone into thinking that Street Fighter was all about these big jump-in 20-hit combos. It never was not like that. You know, Street Fighter was mostly just throwing a lot and zoning a lot, you know, in general, from the past. And the hard execution stuff in Street Fighter was doing things like short super, or long custom combos like A-ism or you know, A-groove, sorry, or V-ism. It was things like that that was hard and technical, or being really quick and doing your super off on one-hit confirm. That was like the hard technical stuff, right? Or parrying or whatever. It wasn't like this, you know, plinking one frame link B and Bs all the time. Man, this didn't age well at all. This is one of my favorite Capcom slides of all time. I always look back on this slide and it always makes me laugh. The don't greatly nerf characters, buff their weaker ones instead. I mean, say that to Birdie after he won Capcom Cup. He got nerfed to the ground and never came back. I mean, I guess they buffed that V-Trigger 2 was pretty strong for Birdie, but that was about it.
Ryu is the character you should pick up first. He'll really teach you about the game.
I completely disagree. I think, and this is going to sound controversial, but I think if you want to learn Street Fighter V, playing Ryu might be one of the worst characters to pick. It's going to make you hate Street Fighter V because, yes, Ryu on paper is supposed to teach you fundamentals, but all he's going to teach you is that you can't throw fireballs and you're never in range to hit the opponent. He may be Mr. Fundamentals, but he's not Mr. Street Fighter V. See, it's crazy they say Chun-Li is easy to moderately hard to use. Chun-Li is one of the most technical characters in the game. Her normals and command normals and all that have such specific ranges and speeds you need to know. On top of that, she's a charge character and she has a lot of charge buffering, the instant air legs. Even her normal B&B requires some really fast charge buffering. She's a really tough character to play, and that's one of the big reasons why we don't see Chun-Li winning so much, even though a lot of people consider Chun-Li a really good character. I mean, I guess maybe in season 1 where Chun-Li were just spamming standing heavy punch. She had a lot of technical stuff even when she started. It's funny because it turned out that Nash was one of the easiest characters to use. Half of his moveset wasn't even optimal. You didn't even need to do it half the time. You didn't have to worry about anti-air as much with Nash because your backdash was so absurdly overpowered. To get in, your forward dash was literally unreactable, and your V-trigger was like almost free damage because it was so insanely fast, and you just throw it out, use it like 2 times in one round. Nash was definitely one of the easiest characters to use. It was crazy. I guess the big takeaway from this is that in the future of Street Fighter 6, we just want the communication to be like it was before. When Street Fighter V was first announced. They don't really need to change anything, you know? We want it to be 2 ways. It'd be nice if they introduced more, and we have more discussion with the battle director especially as well. I'm really excited to know who's working on Street Fighter 6 and what kind of game direction they're going to be doing and the lessons they learned, again, from Street Fighter V.